What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Red Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-host Matt Llewellyn, and we are joined by our guy Mike Andrews of Nothing But Niners. Before I toss it over to the crew, if you're tuning in on Twitter, head over to youtube.com/49ers Hive. It is scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now. Join from there so we could see and interact with your comments. We can't see anything you're commenting on the Twitter live stream, so go to youtube.com/49ers Hive. Join the show so we can see and get this conversation going. We got a fun show planned for you this evening. Now that I got all that out, Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Zach. Ready to talk some 49ers football. Man, just been working, kind of hanging out and doing my thing, but let's jump into it, man. I can't complain about anything really.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. We're here. We have a Father's Day edition of the show. I know it's a day late, but happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Mike, how you doing this evening?
I am good. Happy Father's Day and happy Juneteenth to the fathers out there and to the people who celebrate Juneteenth and know what it's all about. Shout out to you guys. I tried to wear some colors. You guys can't tell, but this S is supposed to be green. But because I got a green screen on, it's whatever color Kyle Shanahan happens to be showing right now. So that's why it's not working. But happy to be here, man. Just trying to, get making some changes in life and ready to get adapted and talk some football along the way.
All right. Yep, that's right. Happy Juneteenth as well. That's funny. That S, I thought it was like a mirror, like that foil type of material, but yeah, it's just the green screen. All right. Yeah. So like I said, we got a fun show planned for you guys this evening. Hit like, hit subscribe if you guys haven't already. We appreciate everybody tuning in. So we had a fun idea for this segment, and it will be to lead off the show. We're going to get right into it, and that's fatherly advice. There are a lot of players and coaches on the 49ers who could very likely use some fatherly advice. Matt, I'm going to start it off with you. Who would you pick, or should I pick the person to give fatherly advice?
Yeah, let's do it that way. That way that way we're surprised.
So let's start it off. First person comes to mind, Kyle Shanahan. What fatherly advice do you have for Kyle Shanahan?
Run the ball, son. Just run the ball. In all seriousness, if I was to give some fatherly advice to Kyle Shanahan acting as Mike, it would be don't outcoach yourself. Don't get in your own head. Don't overthink things. When something's working, keep doing it until they make you not do it anymore. Don't try to get cute and switch things up just because you're getting bored or you think there needs to be, somebody else involved or whatever the case may be. Rely on your workhorses, rely on what works, and don't get in your own way. You may win some, you may lose some, but the most heartbreaking losses of your career so far have kind of been of your own device. With this Philadelphia loss notwithstanding because of the injuries, you think about the Super Bowl when they just went away from the run and went away from Debo and went away from what works. You think about the 28-3 meltdown against the New England Patriots when he was the offensive coordinator of the Falcons. For me, it's quite simply just don't outthink yourself. You are a good coach. You just need to get out of your own way and let the magic happen.
That's some good advice. Mike, I'm going to ask you the same question.
To Kyle also?
Okay, let me ask you this then. Do you have anything to add to that, maybe that Matt didn't already say?
I'm all, as a father, I am all about confidence in my children. You don't need to conform to anything. Be yourself, unapologetically, but also be responsible in that, right? You may want to lash out and try to prove or upstage somebody or whatever, but that's not how you were raised, right? You were raised to be respectful, but when it's time to defend yourself, when it's time to show who you are, you have to relish in that moment. So be confident in who you are. Don't let other people change and form your opinions, or don't be so much of a follower. You're born to lead in the way that only you can. There's only one you. So go out there and be that best you that you can be.
I like that. All right. Let's see. The next obvious one has to be Trey Lance. So, Mike, I'm going to throw it right back to you since you'll get first on this since Matt got first last time. What fatherly advice do you have for one young Trey Lance?
it's going to be confidence related. You are in a very, very unique situation. You were drafted into a unique situation in college. There was only one team looking for you out there, really. Like, you were already in a unique situation. And even before then, you were unique. You have always been a unique child. There is no reason for you to think those things are going to change now. Just the one thing I want you to remember is that you are not defined by that moment. Whatever happens here, it doesn't matter. You are still going to be Trey Lance. You are still going to be our son. You are still going to be the man that you were going to grow to be. Now it's about having fun along the way and you trying to create your own path. You're going to go as far as your work ethic takes you. I sincerely believe you are the best person in this role. You're not here by mistake. So you have to go out there and really dig deep and just put it all out there. And don't worry about what one person or two or three people say about you. You're not defined by just a couple of opinions. You're defined by self.
Well said. Well said.
Go ahead, Matt.
Man, there's not a lot I can add to that. That was really good.
Okay, I have something.
Go for it.
I've heard it from a bunch of people. I'm not sure who this quote kind of originates from, but control the controllables. And I think Trey Lance has so much going on right now that he has no control over, whether or not Brock Purdy's healthy in time to start, whether Brock Purdy's going to be, the starter, whether or not Trey Lance is going to play well enough or show enough. There's only so much he can personally do and has control over in his career right now. So just literally control what you can control, and everything else, just let it go. Because there's no use in stressing over the things that you have no control over.
Yeah. And now that you brought that up, there is something I'd like to add. Along with control the controllable, also know your worth. Know that in the NFL, that first round cachet gets you a lot of looks, right? And you can't control what happens here, but you can control, no matter what happens, how you comport yourself going forward. And the fact of the matter is that even if for whatever reason it doesn't work out here, the odds are you're going to be brought in by another team. And if you hold yourself accountable and you do the best that you can and you continue to do the things that you've been doing and comport yourself the way that you have been with a positive attitude and a competitive spirit and things like that, then, the cream rises to the top. If you are that guy and the 49ers don't see it, somebody else probably will. And so just don't give up on yourself and know your worth, because, no matter what everybody else is saying, you control your own self-esteem and the work that you put in and the talent that you have. So,
yeah, to touch on what Matt just said, if you don't mind, if I'm Trey Lance's dad in particular, I am showing him a lot of the negative things being said about him. I'm showing him all the positive things about him. And I'm going to say, now that you read that, what just changed about you? Nothing. Right? You didn't get any better by reading the positive stuff. You didn't get any worse by reading the negative stuff. So you have to put all that out. And, like what Matt was saying, you're not, this moment right now isn't the end. I was watching something on NFL Network today about Doug Williams, right? And he was the quarterback. He went from Tampa, then he went to Washington. But that's his NFL story, right? The black quarterback overcoming all this adversity and all these people, throwing shade at him, the racial hate and all that stuff. But there was this period in between that a lot of people don't focus on, where his wife has a brain aneurysm. He wakes up with her screaming, rushes her to the hospital, and they say, yeah, it was an aneurysm. It's going to be a struggle from here on out. And then they lose her a week later. He leaves football. He goes to like the USFL. Right? He plays not one, but 2 seasons in the USFL, throws for almost 7,000 yards, a bunch of touchdowns and all that. And then he comes back to the NFL. He struggles to be the starter with Washington, back on the bench, back on the starter, all the way to Super Bowl MVP. But even in the Super Bowl, I believe they said it was the first or second drive, he gets his leg injury. And they thought he was going to be out for the rest of the game. So everything along his path, it was step forward, step forward, step forward, knocked down. Step forward, step forward, step forward, knocked down. And then even on the biggest stage, right, what he's remembered for is being the Super Bowl MVP, right? Even that almost didn't happen. There in the game, you get this really nasty leg injury, and they thought you were done for the rest of the game. He missed 2 plays. That's all he missed. They thought that his day was done. He ended up missing 2 plays. They pull him out, they go back in, and boom, Super Bowl MVP. You're not defined by any of the bumps in the road. That's just the path you got to take. So
I didn't know that. That's crazy. I had no idea that he suffered through all that in his life. Before I go on to the next person for fatherly advice, I've witnessed what's happened over the past year and a half in New York with the Jets and Zach Wilson, and I think it is 100% the case that Zach Wilson's confidence is shattered. We had his teammates wearing Mike White shirts last year. We had Sauce Gardner, publicly begging for Aaron Rodgers to come to the Jets, and they did get Aaron Rodgers after all to the Jets. Do you guys think Trey Lance is suffering from any sort of similar problem with confidence here with the 49ers? They drafted him, but they said, but we still want to go with Jimmy this year. Then they do let him get in the year after, and he only has like 4.5 quarters, if even that, before Brock Purdy gets in there. Well, for Jimmy, and then Brock Purdy gets in there, and then Brock Purdy takes off. Stadium's chanting Brock Purdy's name. Fans are divided on who they want to be quarterback this year. Do you think any of that is causing Trey to suffer from any sort of lack of confidence? Whoever wants to go first, feel free.
I don't think so at all, because those things, particularly the first thing you talk about, right? They draft him and they're like, okay, we're going to go with Jimmy. He's the vet, this and this and that, whatever that is. From then to now, if Trey has made the strides that George Kittle has said, that, Kyle Shanahan has said, that XYZ has said, Patrick Mahomes has said he was phenomenal. And the quarterback coach that he worked with Patrick Mahomes said that he was looking really good. In those circumstances, that part of it, that's going to wash out of your mind, because any honest person who's an athlete, who's, does anything right, they're going to look at themselves and say, I'm way better than I was back then. I'm not surprised that they didn't play me, because at that point, I mean, compared to what I am now, I was miles behind where I'm at now. So that's kind of like at least something he can hang his hat on. And then the other thing too is injuries happen. So I don't think there's anything that he should be overly critical of himself about. Again, it's about putting in the work. It's the mindset that he has. By all means, this offseason, he was like, give me the competition. I don't want anything handed to me. Like, let me go out there and work for it. That to me speaks of his mindset and says that there's not really a confidence issue there. If anything, he's confident to show what he can do going forward, and feels like the opportunities just haven't been there yet. And that given a little bit of space to breathe, he's going to be able to wow the people in the building.
Yeah, that very, very last sentence right there, Matt, is what nailed it, right? The opportunities haven't been there. It's not like what happened with Wilson, right? He didn't go out there and stink it up for consecutive games. I'm sorry, right? He didn't go out there and actually throw his teammates under the bus or anything like that. Your confidence can be shot because Wilson might actually think, hey, this league is too much for me to handle. I'm not saying that Trey Lance thinks that the league isn't, but he doesn't know. He just hasn't done it yet. He simply hasn't done it yet. There are, if you cut up clips, you're going to find 4 or 5 good quarters of Wilson play. Unfortunately, you're going to see a lot more bad, but you're going to see some good Zach Wilson play out there on film if you cut it up the right way and you frame it the right way, right? But Trey Lance just hasn't seen it. And so if I'm Trey Lance, for my confidence to be shot, I have to go out there and actually fail before anything. So if I haven't failed yet, then no, I don't think we have to worry about his confidence yet. No, I don't think so. You're muted.
Thank you. I agree with both of you guys. I've seen some people say the opposite and say that the kid's struggling from a lack of confidence. When I've seen him speak, anytime I've seen him publicly this past offseason, I think I've seen him do like the most podcast appearances that I've ever seen out of him. He seems very confident. And the thing to me is he seems genuine when he does praise Brock Purdy. Like, it really does seem like they're friends. They have like a brotherhood, and that he genuinely is happy for him that he has that he had his success this past season. And it's almost like Trey's like, hey, if not me, then why not him? Like, it's better that one of us at the very least. It's not like he took it from me. I had my ankle shattered, so I really do think he's genuine. And I think that he's just, like both of you said, struggling from a lack of opportunities, but we'll see how he takes advantage of them come this year. Go ahead, Mike.
What's where are we going next? Because I don't want to jump too far ahead. If I do have a very, very specific question for you guys about Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, but I don't know if we're going to get to anything later, and I can ask it then.
Yeah, we will. It's right after this fatherly advice. We're going to talk about that.
Okay, all right. So then I'll chill out.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Matt.
By the way, just to piggyback off of something Mike said about looking at certain plays and even Zach Wilson can look good. That's a lesson for all the people out there that are looking at Jimmy Garoppolo 2.0 videos on YouTube. Just going to say that.
Yeah.
All right. Next one, and I got to give Mike the first on this one. Deebo Samuel. You've had some choice words for him on this show. What fatherly advice do you have for him?
My fatherly advice for Deebo would start with a question, right? What do you want to be? You have the whole world at your fingertips right now. You're looked at as a top 10 wide receiver or weapon in the entire NFL. But then there's another side of people that are saying you're not even the best wide receiver on your own team. Is it something that we can do to work on? Do you want to be a better wide receiver, or do you want to be the best weapon? And there's no wrong answer there. You have guys like Percy Harvin who made phenomenal careers of being good weapons with frequent injuries and all that, and they lucrative contracts, always a danger every time you touch the ball, whether it was punt return, kick return, wide receiver, out the backfield. We've seen this before. But whatever it is that you want to do, let's focus on that. Let's hone our craft and our skills, and then just block out all the outside noise. When you have blabbermouths like Mike Andrews on the 49ers Hive page blasting you for reviewing your personal season, you have to know, hey, everything he just said doesn't matter. Pay attention to what we're focused on. We're going to lock in and we're going to be who we want to be right now. But it starts today. It starts today. If you have to do more training, what can we do? Let's hire the right people to get the diet right. Let's hire the right people to get the body right. This money is here right now, but let's look at our age. Let's look at how much time we got. We are literally in our prime right now. The decline starts in 2 years. Let's go ahead and knock this out of the park right now. Let's commit to what we want to do.
Yeah, I agree. It's so interesting. We've seen this over and over and over again over the course of football careers and everything like that, from Michael Vick to Peyton Manning to Tom Brady to like all these guys, the ones that, early in their career, they're not really doing everything that they can do to take care of themselves. And they're out there, it's a party time and I'm a pro athlete. Look at me and my celebrity and all this stuff. And then as you see them on the back half of their career, the training's way better, way more effort put into treatment, things of that nature. And it's nobody learns the lesson. I think the one athlete that I can think of that from like day one has been on that train, like, hey, I'm gonna spend money on my body, has been LeBron James. And it's no reason why he's, a 20-year pro still playing at a high level. I heard something preposterous like that dude on therapy and treatment and food and stuff like that spends over $1 million per year to take care of himself, to make sure that he can still play. And I mean, Father Time is finally catching up to him, but he's like almost 40 years old. Like,
and even with Father Time catching him, he's still
really good
in the NBA. Yeah, like he's still in the upper echelon. So
he's still really good. And so to me, my fatherly advice to Deebo would be the less you eat off the field, the more you're going to eat on it. And you got to get that diet and that body right. And you got to get that training and the treatment right. And no more up in the club and doing all that stuff like that. Listen, that's cool when you're like under 25, but if you want to last and you want to have a long lasting career and you want to make it past, the next 3-4 years, you want to play 6, 7, 8 more years, you're going to have to take care of yourself. Physical sport, and as you age, your body is not going to heal the way that it used to. So you want to get ahead of it because it's way easier to stay ahead of something than it is to play catch up. So my advice would be you really got to tighten up the off-field stuff, the training, the flexibility, the diet, everything like that. And everything else will come. Preparation, it's you got to be prepared. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not just like a you know, oh, I have a family member who's sick or whatever. That should be how you attack everything, you know, prepare for it to be the hardest thing in the world that you have to do. So when the day comes, it's actually one of the easiest things that you could do because you put the work in, you know what you need to do. You've planned for every contingency that you can think of. And there's going to be no doubt, no regret, no remorse. The last thing that you would want is, oh, damn, I didn't take care of my body and I flamed out of the league. And if I would have, had I known then what I know now, those type of things, you never want to hear that stuff. So it's just better to get out in front of it, man. Just take care of business. This is professional sports.
Yeah, I would just add on to that. I don't have much advice that you guys haven't said yet, but in my opinion, son, if I'm talking to Devo as his father, you haven't made it yet. Act like you play like you haven't made it yet. You had one fantastic year that, in addition to the other years, yes, but mainly earned you this big contract. But that doesn't mean it's over. That doesn't mean you won the race. That doesn't mean your name's in the history books already. You know what I mean? Like, play like you still have something to prove. Play like you're still on a bubble for a roster spot, and you'll never let yourself down.
Yeah.
All right, let's flip it
and
over.
By the way, that's always easier said than done for a lot of these guys. When you think about it, I mean, Debo was probably the best in his Pop Warner League. He was probably the best in high school. He was probably, I mean, obviously one of the best in his college team. Now he's wide back, Debo Samuel, like, you know, this and that. Man, it's hard to try to humble yourself, but it's critical that he tries to, because that mentality of I've always been the best, so I'll always be the best is what's going to lead you to your downfall. I guarantee you that the LeBron James and the Tom Brady's and stuff like that, they're more critical about themselves and think that they're like way shittier than, you know, they actually would be or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
I don't know if he needs to humble himself. I think you can take on the confident role, but work as confident as you.
I just mean from the work ethic aspect of it. You got to humble yourself and do work rather than just like have that mentality of I'm the best, I'm always going to be the best, because hard work will beat talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. You have to work.
That's what I'm saying. No, he's got to humble himself and do the dirty work, do the not fun shit that makes you the best. That when you've capped yourself on just natural talent and no work, that hard work will put you even higher than you were before.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Because I like when Debo gets cocky on the field. I like when he's out there, give me the ball, give me the rock. Like, I'm ready. Like, they can't stop me. Like, I like that. And he should feel that way as long as he's putting in the work to actually do it when the time comes. That's,
I mean, if he puts in the work, he should feel that way even more.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Is there anybody else on offense you guys had any advice for, or are we good to flip over to the defense?
I'm good.
Oh, okay. Let's start off with the top. Nick Bosa. Matt, you're on the main screen.
Yeah. My advice to Nick Bosa, just be patient. Your money's coming. I know you're not worried about it. Just keep doing what you're doing. There's nothing in this world that's going to stop you. You prep hard. You play hard. You're efficient with your game. You know, the team obviously values you. So all the leverage is in your court. People like Nick Bosa don't come along every, 2-3 years or whatever. Like, this is a generational talent. So the money's going to come, and don't let it corrupt you. Don't let it spoil you. Keep doing your thing. The money is just a number. It's ethereal. Don't even think about it, right? You can pay for your house. You can pay for your meals. You don't got to worry about anything. Your kids are set, whatever. Anything beyond that, get your worth, but then put it in the back of your mind and just continue to do business. That's pretty much all I got for that.
Yeah.
You want to go, Mike?
No, go ahead. You can.
Okay. I'm going to caution to say this very carefully, that I would have almost the opposite advice for Bosa that I just had for Devo, in the sense that you're a little too humble, my guy. You need to kind of get that internal fire going a little bit. And look, obviously he's very calm in front of the media. That's not how he is at all times. But I think there are times, especially in the playoffs, when it's very, very critical, when plays need to be made. Don't get me wrong. I know he's being double teamed, triple teamed, but you are arguably the best player on the field every single time you step out. And I think you need to tell yourself that every single time you step out there. Maybe just remind yourself every now and then how good you really are, and don't just, kind of result back to, well, I'm being double team and triple team. There's only so much I can do. Just take over the game. You have the ability to. Go ahead, Matt.
I think you're being a little spoiled right now, actually.
I could
Because if you don't think that man works hard every single play and doesn't have that fire, I mean, go back to the flag planting celebration, go back to all the shrugs, go back to this and this and that. It's not an effort thing. I just think that we're so spoiled with him being so good that when he, doesn't end up, you got to think all the playoff teams are the best teams in the league, theoretically. And so your best teams are going to game plan to take away your best weapons. If I'm looking at a defensive line with players like Samson Ebukam or, this guy or that guy, and then I see Nick Bosa, man, I'll triple team Nick Bosa ass. He's not doing shit against us because I don't want him to do shit. And a good team is going to be able to impose their will more than the bad teams will. But I don't think that it's anything that, like, I don't know, man. Like, hey, you just essentially what this breaks down to is you would be telling him, hey, I know you just won Defensive Player of the Year, but do better.
Not necessarily do better.
I don't think that's a fair
remind
thing.
Yourself.
Say, you know what I mean?
Remind yourself, because I think he had a lot of success in stints and then a lot of non-success in stints.
But that's every good player. Like Aaron Donald is not good every game. You know what I mean? What like other than the quarterback position, and even quarterbacks aren't good every game, I think every other player on the field has games where they're not producing or whatever. Justin Jefferson will have a game where he only has 2 catches, right? Like a running back will have, I averaged 3 yards a carry or something. I didn't have a good game. And particularly so on the defensive line, we look at Nick Bosa, we look at the sacks, and maybe we look at the tackles and stuff like that. But like by all available metrics, dude, he was the best defensive player in the league. At that point, what more do you want? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
I think both of you guys are right. I think Matt is right from a down in and down out perspective. You're not going to win every single one. Their focus is to stop you because you're the best, which goes back to what Zach was saying, right? You're 90% of the time, 99% of the time, the best player on the field, right? So if I'm his dad, this is a legacy act that we're doing here. This is, I hate to say it like they're stock, right? But you were bred and groomed for this moment. But this moment doesn't stop here and today. This moment doesn't stop that last down, right? I had a career and I was good. Your brother has a career and he is great. If your career ends today, you're going to be a could have been. They're going to say what could have been of you. We're in this for the long haul. I'm good. He's great. What's going to be your legacy to add to the family's legacy? They're doing this generationally, like you guys said. I like that. I believe it was Matt, right? You're a generational talent. You don't come along every 2 or 3 years. But your brother was just there, and they were talking about your brother the way that they're currently talking about you. Now what? Do you want to live in your brother's shadow? Because as of this moment, you're not greater than what your brother was. You had one good year. You have one defensive player of the year. That's cool, but that's not what the mission is. Stay focused on the mission, get out there and find ways to be better. If they're going to double, triple team you every play, you got to find a way to be effective. You have to find a way around that. You have to find a way to still be productive and to hit the goals that we set for you every single season. That's what it is. You had a bad game, you had a bad series, that's cool, right? And that's kind of what Zach's point was. But we're not going to be defined by just that one game, that one outing. When it's all said and done, where do we fall? And that's what we're working towards.
Yeah, just to add a little bit. I hear what you're saying, Matt, and you are correct. It's not like he was any bum by any stretch of the imagination. But if I'm taking this from the father aspect of, I don't care what they're doing. You're who you are. Get it done. It's like when your boss is like, yeah, it doesn't matter. There's $1 million mark every month. I don't care how you got to do it. Get it. It's like, this is what expected of you. Greatness is expected of you every single play from a father standpoint. And they're doing this because you are this fantastic player. Then go and be that fantastic player. Like it works both ways, in my opinion.
I don't know. I guess it's just redundant because we know what Nick Bosa, the work that he puts in. We know everything that he does. I mean, he's played 51 career games, has 43 career sacks. Like, he does the work. Like, again, when your coach is like, I don't even give a shit if you show up to OTAs because I know you're working out. Like, if you don't think that Nick Bosa is already telling himself that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I guess it's just a little bit of a, I don't know.
Are you saying that he can't be inspired?
I just don't know that he's so okay. So what Zach is saying would be like kind of extrinsic motivation, right? It's coming from outside of Nick Bosa. But Nick Bosa is a very intrinsically motivated person. He motivates himself. So I don't know that you would need to tell him, hey, you go out there and you believe in yourself. Like it's as simple as like, keep doing what you're doing, dude. Because the motivation for Nick Bosa is coming from himself. I don't think he needs to be motivated by anybody in his life outside or anything like that. The reassurance that he's doing what he's supposed to be doing is going to be, more, I think, more beneficial. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like when you're like a perfectionist, right? You're a perfectionist. No one's harder on you than you are on yourself. You know, that's why Brady could get coached by Belichick for so long, with Belichick just shitting on him in team meetings. Because Belichick's not telling Brady anything that he hasn't already told himself 5 times. So it's like water off a duck's back. And the same thing, when you're so intrinsically motivated to be the best that you grind and you work your ass off. I mean, Nick Bosa when does he ever have fun? You know what I'm saying? Like, you never see him out and about having a bunch of fun or whatever. His fun is being down in Florida working out with his brother and shit. It's to the point of being kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like,
so then maybe the fatherly advice should be the exact opposite. Enjoy.
I think the fatherly advice should be, hey man, like, I know you work hard and you're the best, but you know, pick your head up and like smell the roses, like enjoy the journey too.
Enjoy the moment.
Yeah, okay. Like enjoy yourself. This is what you should be doing. He's already really at the pinnacle of his sport. I mean, I don't think too many people would argue that it's him and like Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons is like the 3 guys that everybody talks about being like the best of the best. And TJ Watt, of course. But I mean, he's S tier, you know, he's upper echelon. He's the best of the best defensive player of the year. I don't know. I just think that there's just to stop and smell the roses and make sure you enjoy yourself is going to be, I think, more beneficial advice than like, hey, make sure you understand. I'm not trying to shit on you, Zach, at all. I'm just trying.
I think we can all agree. We're hoping he takes that step up next year. I'm just kidding.
Hey man, if he doesn't break the single season sack record, fucking failure of a season. I'm telling you, man.
You got an extra game. What more do you want? Right?
I know, man. Come on, man. Hey, if you don't challenge Derek Thomas, may he rest in peace. If you don't get more than 7 sacks in a game, come on, bro. Are you even trying out there? I know they're double teaming you, but come on, you're the best player in the league, bro.
Come on, man.
I saw the other day, I think it was random 49ers on Twitter tweeted out Aldon Smith, and it was kind of like just like Mike said, what could have been. What did he have, like 41 sacks in 41 games or something crazy like that? Like
it was wild, yeah.
Oh man,
I remember
Monday night game
first start against the Bears, and he had like 5.5 sacks, but it was the plays that weren't even sacks. It was just how disruptive he was, like throwing the ball in a second and a half because he was right there. Like it didn't show up in the books at all, but he was there. It was a destructive performance by him. You know, that's probably one of my favorite pass rushing 49er performances of all time. It really might be like the best pass rushing performance I've ever seen.
Yeah, I always think of that. I think it was a Monday night game against the Steelers at Candlestick, and I think I want to say he had 5 sacks that game. And the lights went out at Levi's, and I remember the whole headline was, you know, Aldon Smith blew the lights out of Levi's because he was sacking Big Ben. Yeah, Candlestick. Because he was hitting Big Ben so hard. All right, let's see. Maybe let's go for not so much of a superstar player, and let's go with Mike. I'm gonna throw it back to you, Diamador Lenoir.
Yes, I wanted this one so bad. I wanted this one so bad. I'm so glad you said this. All right. So my advice to him is What's your name? Don't tell me. What's your name? How many people out there know it? How do you get them to remember it? We're your family. We love you. We appreciate you. This football stuff can stop today. It means absolutely nothing to us. You're going to provide. You're a man. You're going to provide for your family. We have all the confidence in the world in you. But you've got so much more here on the plate right now. You are at a crossroads in your career, and the opportunity is right here. This is the sweet spot. This is the defining moment. What's your name? Don't tell me. Tell them.
All right. I like that. Matt?
Yeah, just play your game, Go out there. Don't think about the shoes that you have to fill. Don't think about, the pressure of the team's success. Just go out there and do what you know how to do. Cornerback is the loneliest position in football, and it's that way for a reason. You are in ultimate control of your performance. And so much like Mike said, what's your name? I mean, who are you as a player too? Are you going to be that rookie that was in and out of the lineup? Or are you going to be the guy that, when Emmanuel Moseley went down, you stepped up and you took over that position, and to the point where the 49ers felt good about letting Moseley walk and having you there. You weren't drafted as highly as Ambry Thomas, but he can't catch up to you on the depth chart, right? Are you going to continue to be that guy? Or are you going to be the guy that the 49ers feel like now you're the part that we have to replace next season? Make yourself irreplaceable. And you can do that through your play. Make yourself irreplaceable.
Solid I like that. There. Yeah. I like that a lot. For me, it kind of, to me, feels like, and maybe this is just because this kind of just happened to me, but I was recently transferred to a new office. I say recently. At this point, it's been like a year, but I still feel like I'm the new guy, right? And when you get somewhere new and you have a coworker that's there who's kind of like taking all of the urgent shit and letting you kind of learn at your own pace and take the easy files and do that. I think that's what is the case here with Deommodore Lenoir. It's like, we got Charvarius Ward over here. He's going to be taking the number one guy. We're not going to be asking you to do that 99% of the time, barring some unforeseen circumstance. So we're going to need to see a little bit out of you, but we're going to let you develop at your own pace while you get to not have to struggle with guarding the opposing team's number one wide receiver. So you're going to have some time to get up to speed. But once you get up to speed, we are going to need to see that. And I think that's what I would tell Deommodore Lenoir, is that you already showed a little bit of promise. Like Matt said, we felt good enough to let our previous number one corner go, and now we're rocking with you and Charizard. So it should be a good duo. I like that. All right. Defense. Okay. How about the newcomer, Javon Hargrave? This is a little strange since we don't know much about the guy. He's a newcomer, but for a newcomer, Mike, I'll start with you. What advice would you have for him?
This is tough. Savvy vet, right? This is someone who, you are coming into an organization that has been known for winning now. All right. This is a legacy team here. One of the NFL sweethearts, the darlings, and you're coming into a defensive line that has a lot of talent. You're leaving one also. None of that makes a difference. Why are you here? What do they bring you in here for? They brought you in to be the mentor, to be the motivator, to be what other players look up to. Think about that for a second. They have Nick Bosa. They have Eric Armstead already. And they brought you in here to be someone that other players on that line look up to. That says a lot about who you are. That means that they see something in you other than the play. There's other players out there that can come in here and play and contribute on this stacked defensive line already. But they're looking for something a little bit more, and they chose you for a reason. Find out that reason, dwell in it, and go out here and show up. You have to show up down in and down out. Motivate. Continue to be a team player here. And also help coach these young men on the sidelines. That's what you got to do. You're going to be you're going to be fine. But right now, it's about you and others. We got to spread some of the love, spread some of the knowledge, and come in here and present something that maybe they didn't quite have before. That sounded more like coach talk than fatherly advice. I feel like a couple of my last answers, now that I'm thinking about it, feel a little more coachy than fatherly advice. But I mean, that's what I'm telling them here.
Sometimes dads are coaches, man. Like sometimes you need that motivate, and it's a fine line, I think, between coaching and parenting in certain aspects, you know, particularly in a given situation. Like, yeah, when your kid's small and they're, you know, reaching their hand in something that's hot, like you just grab their hand and pull it back and be like, hey, that's hot. Like, you know, but when you're trying to give advice, I feel like it's very much almost a coaching aspect, right? You're presenting the reasons why for things and kind of going over your logic for it. So I think that kind of makes sense to me. For me, I would tell Javon Hargrave that the team paid you, right? You were the missing piece. They felt like you were. They paid you big money to come here. So in that vein, I think of old type masonry and stone building and things like that. And the last piece of any puzzle, any type of masonry or like that, when you think about like an arch, is the keystone, you know, the capstone. It's the last piece that goes in and allows the entire structure to support weight. And so you're there to offer your support. You're there to offer what you bring to the table that they thought that you were, you know, for the Philadelphia Eagles, you can now be for the San Francisco 49ers. And you take pressure off of Nick Bosa. He doesn't have to carry all the weight. You take pressure off of Eric Armstead. He doesn't have to carry all the weight. You take pressure off of Fred Warner. He can do his thing and not have to carry all the weight. You're there to be the last piece of the puzzle to help everyone bear weight. Right. So to me, he's the keystone. And I would tell him as such. They brought you here for a reason. Make sure that that reason is well-founded.
I like that. That's very similar to what I had. This picture is almost complete. It's like the artist, the painter was missing one color and it just got here. You know what I mean? Like you are that last piece. Be the difference. The 49ers played you guys or your previous team a couple months ago. I'm sure you were all prepped and studied and, you know, watched all the film about how tough of a battle you expected. Granted, that's not what we saw. Something else happened. Fate had a different plan, but still, you are aware of how good this team is. You are now a part of that team. Make it that much better, elevate it that much, and just be the missing piece. I think that's really good. The last one I have for both of you guys, and some of the comments were, you know, J.A. Brown, the safety, rookie kicker. Why don't we just do the rookie class as a whole? Because we're not going to individualize these to players who might not even make the roster. So incoming rookie class, however many of these guys make the final roster, what advice would you have for them? Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I would say, look, they picked you for a reason. You were drafted where you were drafted because you feel in need of this team, and make sure that that was something that you try to live up to. You know, make sure that you come in and work every day. You take advice from the people that are there to give you advice. You may have been a big shot on campus. You may have done this and this and that in college, but none of that shit matters because now it's the NFL and it's the big boy league and it's Sundays and everything's going to take a whole step up. And all you can do is put your head down, work hard, don't make waves. Like you should be taking everything that you can get from the vets. Even somebody like Moody, who, when we have someone like Zane Gonzalez in camp doing those things, man, pick his brain, ask him what it's like on Sundays, try to figure out what you can do to be better and be better prepared and things like that. You know, for Jair Brown, it's like you have Tashawn Gibson in the room. You have a younger guy in Hufanga who you can kind of lean on, who's in that almost like that transitory period from being like rookie to now starting to come up to, hey, now you're getting into more veteran territory / leader of the defense type territory with him. Everybody should be picking everybody else's brain and showing an interest and showing that they're there to work hard. I can tell you that there's nothing, even in any profession, really, even in my profession, there's nothing that goes over like a fart in church, like coming in thinking that you know everything. You know, if you're not there to learn and understand that you're going to make mistakes, but you need to learn from them, that you're no longer the best player on the team. You're probably not even the best player at your position group. It's humbling. And if you can do that and make that successful transition, you're going to be all the better for it.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
Wow. Mine is almost the opposite, Matt. My talk is, if I'm talking to any of these rookies except the kicker. In fact, I use the kicker as the example in my speech. Kickers don't get drafted until the 4th round. They got that guy in the 3rd. They were comfortable letting go of one of the NFL's all-time great kickers for him. They want that kid. Why are you here? The 49ers can't just forfeit an entire draft. They had to pick somebody. You were a two-star recruit coming out of high school. You didn't have the best college career. You had a good one. You got on their radar. There were flashes somewhere down the line that they said, hey, this guy could be something. This guy could be something. And this is a loaded roster. They're returning 21 of their 22 starters. There's no need for you here. They don't need you here. But now what you got to do is go out there and make them want you. And if they don't want you, make somebody else want you. And that's what our focus has to be right now. This team is loaded. This team was a 5th quarterback away from a Super Bowl appearance. What do you think they want you to come in here and attribute right now? Probably nothing. But now is your opportunity to wow them somehow. Be the best learner. Be the best studier. Be the best receptacle to the information that they're giving you. Maybe you can relay information in a way that other people can't. But whatever it is that you do the best, this is your time to magnify it right now, because they don't need you. They might not even want you. They had to pick somebody, and that happened to be you. Make a name. Make them say, oh, that guy can do this. And maybe you find yourself somewhere in the future down the road in the league still. Because now, stop the speech. I don't think a lot of these rookies are going to make this team, guys. I don't see many needs. Now, we have a roster to fill, but I don't see many needs for these guys. They might try to keep a guy or two to replace a Greenlaw down the road, right? Like stuff like that might be happening. But there's not a lot of these guys that are gonna stick around. They're not. My job right now is to get my son poached from this team to another team. That's what my goal is. They don't have a starting role for you. They might not even have a backup role for you, but you can go out here and show something when the cameras are on to make someone say, hey, we need that in our locker room. And it might not be a starting role, but it could be a backup role. It could be a step up from where you are now.
So that's great advice.
I don't even think that's bad. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I don't think a lot of the rookies are going to make this team either. I think they're going to try to stash guys on, like the Brandon or the Jalen Grahams and the Braden Willises or whatever. They're going to try to stash them on the practice squad. I think the ones that are pretty safe, to me, like D. Winters seems like a pretty good special teams guy that you can use. They obviously like Cameron Law too, who they want to use in probably goal line situations. The backup tight ends aren't very good. And then you look at like Jake Moody and Jair Brown, who you feel like should make this team pretty easily. But I mean, the other guys, Darrell Luter, what's he going to be? There seems to be a glut of 5th round quarterbacks in the last few years for the 49ers. Some of them panned out, some of them not. But yeah. And I think I agree with Mike from the perspective of, and like he said before, I think I kind of gave the coach answer this time, whereas Mike gave the, hey, son, show them why they want you. So I guess I'll just like amend mine to, hey, son, make the team so you can buy me and your mother a house. We raised you. I'm just kidding.
That's funny. And the advice I'd have for them would have to be something along the lines of, you could not have landed on a better team as far as being drafted later and maybe not having a role, because this is the fucking team that Brock Purdy just found a spot on and turned himself into basically a household name. 6 months ago. Like, you could not have been any luckier. The guy who made a household name out of being Mr. Irrelevant and turned that into something is sitting. You're in the film room with him. Like, you're sitting next to him. You're in the locker room with him. So that can be you. There's no reason why that can't be you. All you need is an opportunity, and you have to make the most of that opportunity. So if that comes to you, you take it, you grab it, and you never let it go. That's the advice I'd have. All right. So the last topic I had, I'm going to do a little bit of reading, so bear with me here. And this kind of plays into what Mike wanted to talk about. This is an article from Niners Wire. Let me change the screen here. And I thought it was quite interesting. Let me change this. All right. So this is 49ers quarterback battle in training camp isn't really a battle, by our guy Kyle Madsen. He says the 49ers have a handful of things to iron out on their roster in training camp, and while the coaching staff will always say that any starting job is up for grabs, that's not always true. There are a bunch of positions for San Francisco where the top spot on the depth chart is securely occupied. Typically, it's black and white. Either a starting job is open or it's not. For the 49ers this offseason, their starting quarterback job falls into a little bit of the gray area. Pro Football Focus's very good analyst, Trevor Sikkema, listed the battle between Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and Sam Darnold as the top position battle to watch across the NFL once training camps open via Sikkema. Many analysts would have him down as the unquestioned starter if he is fully healthy during camp, but it still shouldn't be a stone-cold guarantee even if he is healthy. After all, the 7th-round pick earned a 79.1 passing grade in his best stretch, which is solid, but he paired just 5 big-time throws with 4 turnover-worthy plays. You got to love the PFF terminology here. Lance was the quarterback the Niners traded all those draft picks for back in 2021, but he just hasn't played much football. He played in a run-heavy offense in high school where he attempted 20 passes in a game just once. He then got only 1 year as a starter at North Dakota State in his entire college career. He backed up Jimmy G in 21. We know all of this. As for Darnold, he likely won't be too much of a threat for the starting job unless Purdy and Lance aren't healthy enough to go. It goes on to say that the battle is more so for the backup job between Trey Lance and Sam Darnold, and whether or not they're going to carry 3 quarterbacks, which I think 100%. Yes, we've discussed this already. What do you guys make of this? Do you really think that it is that certain that it's basically just Brock Purdy's job and the main battle really is for quarterback 2 at this point? Or is there more there for an actual battle for quarterback 1 during training camp, preseason? You know what I mean?
This PFF stuff, that's like my eyes just glaze over and just like want to roll out the back of my head. Like, 5 big time throws. And like, what do you consider a big time throw? I mean, does he move the chains? Does the team score points? I'm pretty sure they scored a lot of points when he was the starter for their team. Just the terminology. As for the actual breakdown, I think that the macro level argument that he's making that it's really going to be between Purdy and Lance, and Darnold doesn't really factor in unless they're not, healthy enough to go. I think that that's more apparent and pretty obvious, but just the nitpicky nature of everything. It's such an outsider looking in perspective, and PFF to me more than anything has grown into a nebulous, non-transparent type of deal where it's just like, oh, no, trust us. The formula works. We're not going to tell you the formula, but the formula works. Trust us no matter what. And anytime you point out something that contradicts what they're saying about the formula, and Clarence Worley, I would definitely debate you on that. PFF has a lot of fucked up numbers that make no sense. They'll change the algorithm or they'll be like, oh, this season we've adjusted XYZ in the algorithm to more accurately reflect. And it's just like, okay, so then what you're telling us is last year's numbers were bullshit because you had to change your algorithm from one year to the next to make it make sense for you. So PFF can miss me with that stuff. To me, Purdy, might not be the biggest arm, but the results were there on the field. So I don't know. I just think there will be a quarterback competition unless like Purdy is like ready to go. And then I don't know, if Purdy's ready to go earlier in camp, then I could see them trying to just say, hey, it's, you know, Purdy's job to lose or whatever. But there should be an open competition. Just the speculation is just so fucking old.
Yeah, my main takeaway was the terminology too. I thought it was funny. But Mike, go ahead. What are your thoughts on this?
No, I was actually gonna, pass to you.
Okay. Yeah, man. I this is just such a classic 49ers problem to have. It seems like in my lifetime, they either have no quarterback or they have two or three that they're trying to decide between which one to stick with. And it really is ridiculous that even after they went out and traded all these picks for Trey Lance, here we are, 2 years later, and the guy that they drafted with the last overall pick is causing this problem for them. Like it just really blows my mind. And I just want to say that the newest talking point I see going around Twitter is, well, the offense scored that many points under Brock Purdy because the defense generated so many turnovers. That's what I keep hearing a lot more, reading, I guess I should say, on Twitter, which it really is crazy. It's like there's a bit of a civil war going on amongst 49ers fans with who they want to be quarterback.
Yeah, but then you can make that argument though. I had this argument with somebody else where it was like under like Jimmy Garoppolo versus Brock Purdy, the 49ers held the ball for like 3 or 4 minutes less per game. That's not necessarily just turnovers. It's multi-factor analysis. It's too easy to be like, oh, the defense had more turnovers, so Brock Purdy was good. But you could also say the converse was true, right? Brock Purdy let the defense get rest, so they were more able to make plays because they weren't as tired. Like it's too much of a single factor analysis, and I don't think that's very accurate. You have to look at everything as a whole. And when Brock Purdy came in, how many starts did he lose? None. So, I mean, I don't.
Starts that he played all whole game.
How many starts did he finish? Did he lose? None.
Yeah.
So.
Look, I agree with you there, and I do think that it is way too single factor analysis to say, well, they were getting more turnovers. Look at the turnovers during these games. It's like, okay, like you said, Matt, to me, it reminds me of how you word a headline, right? It's like, sky is blue, sky is a dark green, sky is a light purple. It's like, it really just depends on the perspective and the angle that which you're coming from to try and make somebody get to your point of view. And I think that's what we're seeing here. And just to answer Clarence, he says, do you really not have doubts over Brock, though? For real, I'll be honest, as an Eagles fan, I still have doubts over Hurts in certain aspects of his game. All three of us have doubts over Brock Purdy. I don't think any of us here are 100% trade tomorrow, Brock Purdy. Mike doesn't even want Brock to start, if I'm characterizing that correctly. He said he wants Trey to start. I think the three of us have said it's tough to take it away from Brock at this point if he's healthy. And it's almost impossible for there to be a 100% fair and open competition without actual football being played. Like there's not much Trey can do between now and the first weekend of September to win that job back if Trey's healthy. Or excuse me, if Brock is healthy. Mike, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, so the 49ers will be irresponsible to have an actual open competition during the season. Yes. Brock Purdy's injury kind of hinders him a little bit from having a real competition during the OTAs and all that stuff, right? So, look, like it is what it is. Give Brock the starting job. I don't care. But we are at a position right now where the game still is going to have to be played. The Niners are going to have to make a decision. PFF can say what they want. Numbers are made to be manipulated. It is really, really that simple. It's really that simple. So I won't argue against what they're saying. I won't argue for what they're saying. I honestly, I don't care, right? So the reason why I wanted you guys to tackle that first is because my question to you guys is this. Right now, today, knowing everything you know about both of those quarterbacks, which one has a higher trade value today, right now? And I am not leading you. Well, I have a follow-up question, but I don't care which answer you answer. I want to know your guys' honest opinion. Right now, today, which one has a higher trade value?
I think Trey Lance, because he's more the unknown. He has the higher ceiling, and I think that coaches are arrogant and think they can get the most out of somebody. I think a lot of people are going to think that Brock's kind of tapped. Plus, the injury that Brock Purdy had was to his throwing arm, which I always feel is a red flag for a lot of people. I just think that Trey Lance, yeah, he had some lower body injuries, but they can look at that and be like, well, if Kyle Shanahan didn't run QB power like 14 times that game, he wouldn't have broken his leg. So I could see with the first round cachet, with being a bigger, stronger, more mobile quarterback, with less bad habits and having a more nebulous type of end game, right? Like he could be worse than Brock Purdy, or he could be a lot better. I just think that he would, as of this moment, have more of the trade value, on top of the fact that he's actually healthy right now, which we can't really say about Brock Purdy.
Okay.
This is tough because if I know I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but let's say if Brock was healthy right now, if they're both healthy, 100% healthy, I think in my heart of hearts, I think it's Brock Purdy. I think these coaches value what have you actually done once you've gotten to the NFL a little more than potential and characteristics. Maybe not all coaches. Maybe there are coaches out there like an Andy Reid or, these bright offensive mind coaches who are like, yeah, I don't care about any of that. I know what this player has and I'm going to get it out of him. Kyle just didn't do it. But I think at this point, Brock's actually shown consistently, you could say consistently less than, half a season, but still more so that he can play at a high level when surrounded with the right pieces. It might not be much more, but I'm going to say he's more valuable in my opinion at this point.
And it's so interesting that you guys split, right? Like I would have leaned towards Brock Purdy having the higher trade value right now, right? And I'm talking, it doesn't matter. It's higher in my opinion. We've seen Brock do more. I think coaches say, damn, I wish I had a guy that composed, that consistent on my roster. Because like Matt was saying, we haven't seen it from Lance. He does have the higher ceiling, but we've seen higher ceiling guys do a lot less, right? And that unfortunately happens more often than the flip of a guy with less talent, less athleticism, less size, doing what he did in the efficient manner that he did it. So I would venture to say that it's Brock Purdy with the higher trade value. Go ahead, Matt.
Nah, you both are dead wrong. You both are dead wrong. I hate to break it to you. I'm just going to listen. Let me spit this out at you real quick. The 49ers are the number one team where people go, oh, yeah, the coach makes the quarterback better than he actually is. And we watch every single season. They do. Oh, let's see what Jimmy is without Kyle Shanahan. Oh, let's see what Brock Purdy is, in Kyle. Oh, Brock Purdy only did so well because anybody can play quarterback for Kyle Shanahan. That's why they can go through 3 and still make the NFC. That team is so good. The quarterback, whatever. You don't even need it. This is the narrative around Kyle Shanahan, that he can just take any quarterback off the street and make him good. Oh, Sam Darnold, he has potential to start in San Francisco because if anybody can fix him, it's Kyle Shanahan. Y'all know we've heard these 3 things. We've heard these 3 things.
But then they just
now on top of that, hold on. Let me cook, baby. Let me cook. On top of that, we've watched season after season after season after season. Veteran quarterbacks that are out there, pretty good. Not going to blow your dick off, right? They're not the best in the world, but we've seen decent quarterbacks out there not getting picked up or maybe getting, signed as backup, somebody like an Andy Dalton, somebody who's proven maybe not at the highest of levels, but at certain levels, hey, he can make the playoffs with the Bengals. He did it multiple times, right? Oh, we've seen Joe Flacco, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, bounce around the league. He's not the best, but he's a steady hand. Are they taking these guys? No. They're trading up for unknowns, for potential. People like Mitch Trubisky, people like Kenny Pickett, people like XYZ. We see it every year in the draft. And right now, Trey Lance is such an unknown. They're looking at him like he's still a draft commodity. He is an unfinished product. He has that potential. And now the 49ers, who in their mind foolishly traded up for him and spent so much capital, you can get him for less than they got him, and you're getting a first-round guy. I mean, everybody had a first round grade on him. You can get him for a 2 or a 3 or something of that nature. And you're telling me that guy doesn't have more value than Brock Purdy, who's small, doesn't really have an arm, plays in a Kyle Shanahan system. See, Trey Lance doesn't have that label yet because he hasn't really played in a Kyle Shanahan system. Kyle changed the complete way he does things to try to suit Trey Lance rather than just running his offense and let Trey Lance run it. So for me, it's really easy. Like it's Trey Lance. No injury to the throwing arm, first round cachet, doesn't have the label of being a Kyle Shanahan dude. And we've seen NFL teams go absolutely crazy on the off chance for potential. They do it every year. They trade up for these bums that are out of the league in 2 years because of potential. Oh, they have potential, you know? So the unknown doesn't scare off anybody. Don't let that fool you, because we have in evidence for Trey Lance that the 49ers had already traded, 3 first round picks to go up to number 3 to get him. So that whole known commodity versus potential, you gotta miss me with that. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant for a reason.
I like it. I like it a lot. Now, all right. So I like everything that Matt just said, right? But, and this is a serious but. Let's say if both of these quarterbacks are on the trade market right now, and I probably should have phrased my question different. I did a piss poor job of that. Do you think we can get a second round pick for Brock Purdy right now? Just forget Trey Lance for a second. No? You think we get a third round pick for Brock Purdy right now? So fourth, you're going
to get a 4 or 5 just because of the injury. That makes a huge difference.
Right. Okay. Include the injury, 4 or 5. Do you think we can get a first round pick for Trey Lance right now? So doesn't that mean that the pick versus the pick, Brock Purdy's value is higher? Isn't that how value is determined?
No, because they're both on the team right now. Fuck the picks. They already made the picks. The picks are the picks of the picks. The picks of the picks. You're not going to recoup what you got for Trey Lance.
No, but
we're talking about higher trade value right now. All you can do is go forward.
So, Mike, are you asking, would you like net? Would you come out on top?
Net trade value. I mean, Brock Purdy's would get more in return than what you drafted him for.
Yeah.
But on the team right now, if you said we have a trade for Brock Purdy, we have a trade for Trey Lance will have the higher value in just the trade right now. They'll get a better pick for Trey Lance than they will for Brock Purdy.
Because I think, honestly, if I'm the 49ers, here's where I was going with this. If I'm the 49ers, I want one quarterback to be my guy so I can trade the other guy. Forget names, right? I want one quarterback to definitively be the guy. I will ride with Sam Darnold as the backup so I can trade the other guy. Because having them both here is going to be annoying. I won't say a distraction. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the whole distraction thing. I think it'll be annoying. Beat writers and content creators and all. I think it'll be annoying, right? Which would you prefer? Which way would you rather it go? Would you rather it be Trey Lance as the starter and then we can trade Brock? Or would you rather be Brock as the starter and we can trade Trey Lance?
I mean, to be honest, I couldn't care less. Whoever's going to be better for the team. I'm not married to either player. I just want whoever's going to be best for the team. I just think that if you're talking about who should we trade sooner rather than later, I would say Trey Lance because I think he has a higher value. But I think that if he comes in and he's either going to play really well and you're not going to end up trading him and then the situation's moot anyway and you're trading Brock Purdy, or 2, he doesn't play well and then the bloom's off the rose and you're not going to get shit for him. So it's one of the two. So
yeah, I feel you.
I've seen this team lose their starting quarterback every year besides 2019. So I don't subscribe to the notion that you have to trade any of them. I know, Mike, you're saying in a hypothetical situation where Kyle feels the necessity to trade one, who would you trade? But I really don't think he gives a shit. I don't think he gets that annoyed by the questions. I don't think he reads the media articles. He might be on Twitter with a burner, but I really don't think he cares. You know what I mean? Like, I think that he just spent the past 2 seasons dealing with this shit with Jimmy Garoppolo, who, by all reports, he wasn't really too fond of. And now he's got Trey and Brock, 2 young men that he probably really, really likes. And he's like, this is a good situation for me. I'm in a good place regardless of which of you plays and it stays healthy. So I'm keeping all of you guys. And now I got Sam here too. I'm not leaving. I'm not letting any of you guys walk out this building.
Here's the real wrinkle. All 3 quarterbacks in the game at the same time. The 3 QB offense. Let's go. You know Kyle Shanahan's going to do it. Listen, you thought 2 QBs? Man, listen, he got confused because it was 2, right? He's a odd number type of guy. 2 can't handle. 3, he's going to cook, baby. Watch out. All 3 at the same time.
Pistol formation.
You heard it here first.
Two backwards passes and then a bomb down the field.
That's right.
I like that shit. No, man, all jokes aside, guys, like, this quarterback situation is fun, it's frustrating, and everything in between. Matt, the one thing I disagreed with you during your rant, where you were like, no, let me cook. Kyle can't do it with anybody. We've seen that. We've seen Kyle go through.
Oh, I know he can't. I'm saying the narrative is.
Here.
I'm saying the narrative is, and we hear it with the talking heads all the time, and we're on a granular floor level with the 49ers. We're on the ground floor. We love this team. We analyze the team, whatever. But if you told me, that XYZ had a reputation for being a quarterback guy in, for the Giants or whatever, like Brian Dable or whatever. Oh yeah, dude, he did some good work with Josh Allen. He did some good work with this guy or that guy. Yeah, I probably believe that. Like, no, you can't win with anybody, but he could probably make that dude better. Right? People on the outside, the national media and stuff, man, they're not looking at it that way.
Yeah.
And there will be expectations within coaching circles, but then, Kyle's going to have a good reputation with them. I mean, half a bunch of dudes have come from his coaching tree. So,
yeah. I for one, I'm personally excited about the quarterback competition. I told you guys, I don't think it can be a real competition. I really, really don't. My brain just constantly takes me back to a certain 2019 season and Kyle not being content with the quarterback play throughout the postseason and wanting more, right? And that's where the whole trading up and all that stuff came from. I just feel like if he were to tap out on it now, he never even gave himself a chance to see what it could be if you got the more that you were looking for. And that's really, really, really why I just can't say Lance isn't going to be the guy. There's no other reason. I'd be completely comfortable, content, and happy if Brock Purdy was named the starter. I really would be. But I just feel like Kyle wants to see more. I feel like he's the reason why Trey Lance is here. I don't think John Lynch could have convinced him, hey, you need to try this guy out here. I don't think any of the area scouts could have said, yeah, this small school guy, he's the one you need to try out. I think they present them to him. I think they presented Kyle with probably 5 or 6 quarterbacks once they traded up. And Kyle had to say, yeah, this guy would be the one that I think I can do the most with. And for him to tap out after just 4 games, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm still going to, I listen to what Kyle's saying. I believe in the manipulation through the media. I have not listened to the audio from the State of the Franchise. I know they just released that a couple of days ago, but I have not listened to it. I will go back and listen to see if it's anything different than what they said in the Dwight Clark, the catch and the, what was the official name of that ceremony? Letters to 87. I believe that's what it was called. I know what they said there, and that convinced me that it might actually be Brock Purdy's team. Like that convinced me. But I want to see what Kyle said with some more time. I want to know what Kyle is saying now that Brock has been off to the sideline and you've been working with Lance now in this offseason. So I am excited to hear that and see what they say.
Do you guys? I'm just going to ask you a question. Do you guys think that one part of me thinks that the reason they drafted Brock Purdy was because he showed an aptitude for learning offenses, being like a cerebral guy, and he probably thought that was a good guy to have in the locker room in terms of being like scout team and like helping run QB meetings and stuff like that. You see that a lot where it's like almost an extension of the coach himself just because he's good with that. Do you think that Kyle, after he played Purdy and Purdy did so well, coming into this offseason, and particularly after the Purdy injury where it kind of tossed everything up in the air. Do you think Kyle's annoyed with the quarterback position at this point? Almost like a, God damn it, why did Purdy have to be so good? I could have just rolled with Lance again and find. I feel like he's annoyed because he keeps getting asked questions about this one position group. He keeps having to make decisions about this one decision group. And then when he thinks he does, something comes along and he has to make a different decision. I don't know about you guys, but I do you guys feel like he's annoyed at this point with the whole thing?
I do. I don't know about if annoyed's the right word, but I think he's probably tired of having this problem. It's a good problem to have. You have two quarterbacks.
I don't think that it is at this point, though, right? Like at some point, just being more steady would be.
Well, of course. But
right.
Would you rather have none? Like, would you rather be looking for one again or be okay? We have two that I have to choose between, especially with his luck with injuries under center. I think it's a somewhat of a good problem to have, but I think he's probably tired of it. He's probably like, just why do all of these other coaches get to find their quarterback and that's it? End of story. They just stick with that guy. Nothing else happens. With me, even when I thought I got my guy, trade all these picks for Trey Lance, here comes Brock Purdy having literally an unprecedented start to his career. No other Mr. Relevant had even completed a pass in an NFL game, and here he comes lighting it up. Mike, you have something to add?
I completely disagree. I think Kyle Shanahan last year had his eureka moment. I think Kyle Shanahan suffered from 2017 to 2020 saying, man, if this one piece was here, we could be a better team. I wish I could build this team to a way where that one fucking piece wouldn't completely derail the whole system. Once he acquired Christian McCaffrey, I think that was the eureka moment. I got it. It doesn't matter who is in there under center now. I got it. I got the George Kittle. I got the Deebo Samuel. I got the Brandon Ayuk. I got the Christian McCaffrey. I got the Elijah Mitchell. I got Trent Williams. And I got the center. That's what I need. Everything else is shuffle and go. Quarterback wants to go down. That is fine with me. Give me another. I think if we had a healthy quarterback, it didn't have to be Brock Purdy. I think that NFC Championship game is more competitive. We might not have won it, but give me a guy that's physically capable of throwing the ball and knowing this playbook, and we were going to go toe-to-toe with any team in the NFL. I think right now Kyle is sitting back like a mad scientist and laughing to himself. Look at these fools. I don't give a shit which one of these guys it is. I have put myself in a position where I can do it with anybody. I have overcome the need for a quarterback. And that's why, well, here we are. I'm about to project down the road. I don't think the Niners are ever going to have the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. They're going to blame it on the injuries. They're going to blame it on being Mr. Irrelevant, whatever the case is. When it's time for contract time, you're never going to be the highest paid at that position because Kyle has created a system where that guy is not needed. So now what I'm going to do is when it's time for Deebo to go, I got to find his replacement. Forget the quarterback. I got to find the guy to replace the Deebo value in this system. I got to find the guy to replace the George Kittle value in this system. You guys thought that the days of drafting running backs and going out there and getting these guys was over. You were wrong. We're going to continue to look for Christian McCaffrey's replacement because now Kyle sees what the system looks like regardless of the quarterback. The quarterback in everybody else's system and everybody else's team is the most important position. What if I can make it the most worthless position? What if I can make the one position that you all say is a must-have? That is the one position you have to have a lock on. What if I can make that position the one that you say, just give me someone serviceable. Just give me a guy that won't fuck it all up. And then I can win. I think Kyle is there right now. And that's not to take away anything from Brock Purdy. It's just Kyle is showing, hey, I'm here. There was no one more furious that Josh Johnson made this roster than me. Kyle had to have a legit reason for keeping him here. He had to. And I think it's to do with the other 10 positions on that side of the ball.
Hence my rant with Trey Lance having more trade value than Brock Purdy because he can just do it with anybody.
Yep.
No, I agree with a lot of what you say. A lot of people in the chat are mad that, Kyle did not work out Brock Purdy. I said they, as in the team, as in capital they, capital T they. Yeah, I'm of the opinion, and anybody who's watched me for years knows that the late round guys, I don't think Kyle touches at all. And I'm not surprised that Brock spends most of his time with Brian Griese. So does Trey Lance. That's the quarterback coach. He's a position coach for a reason. While Kyle Shanahan has to be the head coach and install the game plan and go around and touch bases with all the coaches or whatever. Of course, the position coach is going to work with the guy. I just think that it's, once it was clear that, hey, this is a smart guy, we're taking him, and Kyle values the input of his team and stuff like that, that yes, Brock Purdy does fit what Kyle wants to do because he can digest the offense in a way that makes it easy to get the ball to people, like Mike said, Christian McCaffrey, to Brandon Ayuk, to this, to that. I've never seen Klarsard 49, yet Kyle wants his flowers for the way Brock played. I don't even know what that means, bro. He's never once tried to take credit for the way that Brock Purdy plays.
Even if he timeout.
Even if he did, it's his fucking system.
Do you think that if you took Brock Purdy from this team and put him in to replace Patrick Mahomes, that they'd have the same success over there? Fuck no. Patrick Mahomes is asked to do way more than what any quarterback on this roster has been asked to do since Kyle's been here. We have to stop acting like stats travel with people and they're just that good right away. Systems plus the quarterback equals success or failure. We have to stop including the system part in a player's success. It doesn't work that way. You won't find an excellent quarterback not linked directly to a successful head coach. It doesn't happen. Tom Brady is the anomaly. He went from one system for 19 years and took it over to Tampa. And it wasn't even the whole system, but you still had a genius in Bruce Arians upstairs calling the shots. Yeah, you're going to be successful because you're Tom Brady. You got the time in and people have this confidence in you, right? But it doesn't happen often. Peyton Manning's another one that went out somewhere else and did it, right? There's a reason in the 100 years of NFL football, it's only happened twice. Stop it, guys. Stop it. Quarterbacks and coaches and systems go hand in hand. Yeah. They go hand in hand. Bill Walsh, George Seifert, same system, passed it down through the rankings, and you sat there and you worked with the quarterbacks. That's not a coincidence.
Right. Man, just everybody in the chat going off, man, about the whole, no, did Kyle work out? Dude, whatever. It's a staff, dude. That's their job is to do that. So exactly. You're discounting Kyle because he trusted his people that were hired to do their job, did their job. Like, that's ridiculous. I don't know.
I want to address this comment up here that says, Klarsard, there's already a civil war at the quarterback position for the fans. Imagine if Kirk Cousins was here. Look, I said this on Twitter. Kyle's going to trade both Trey and Brock, and Kirk is a free agent after this season, and it's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's like Thanos. You can't prevent it. It's going to happen. Kyle's just buying time until September of 2024.
Here's the unpopular opinion. If the 49ers hadn't have traded for Jimmy Garoppolo and went after Kirk Cousins like they had planned to and got him,
3 Super Bowls.
Kyle Shanahan would have 2 or 3 Super Bowls. Legit.
Yep.
Because people shit on Kirk Cousins, but he played pretty well under Mike Zimmer, who's a defensive coach. Barely knows his elbow from his asshole in terms of offensive production. So
then again, we don't get Nick Bosa.
That's true. That is true.
Unless Kirk tears his ACL too, it's way too many what ifs. You know what I mean?
Right,
I'm just thinking the first thing that would have came to my mind is we don't get that number 2 overall pick.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, but they're not. I know Kirk Cousins, but get him out of here at this point.
No, I'm just.
He's on the decline now.
Yeah. All right. Last questions I have for you guys that we're going to wrap up. I know, Mike, I've asked you to make the argument. I'm not going to ask you to make the argument. We were doing a little bit of role playing earlier, asking for fatherly advice. I'm going to ask for coacherly advice now. I'll start with you, Mike. Can you give advice from Kyle Shanahan's standpoint to each quarterback as to why you're going with that one over the other? Or if you want to just pick one quarterback and I'll have Matt do the other, whatever you want to do.
So I'm Kyle talking to Brock saying that I'm going with Lance. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And explaining why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I can do this. I actually did this exercise on a Patreon episode You guys have actually heard me say on this channel multiple times, I think the Niners handled this quarterback situation perfectly, including the acquisition of Sam Darnold. Every single quarterback on this roster feels like they have a legitimate shot right now. Okay. If I'm Kyle talking to Brock saying that I'm going with Lance, hey, listen, man, you're Mr. Irrelevant. We got you under contract for 3 more years. You're not going anywhere. We invested a lot in this young man. We have to see if he can do what you did. If not, we're going to move on and we're going to plug you right back in there. You get ready. You continue to rehab extra long. You go out there, you regain that strength, learn a couple of new tricks. Imagine what you're going to do when we finally call your number. But we have to see what this guy can and can't do. And if we can't do anything, we're going to try to win a couple of games with him, and then we'll try to prepare to move on from him. We're going to try to get some draft capital. We're going to go out there. We're going to try to get you a better center and all that stuff. We're going to take care of you. We're going to protect that right side. We know we lost Mike McGlinchey. Don't worry. We have a plan in place. We are going to take care of you as long as you take care of yourself. But we have to see. Unfortunately, we answer to someone also. And it's going to be really, really hard for us to justify trading and using 3 first-round picks to acquire him and getting rid of him after just 4.5. Like, we can't do it. We can't do it. He's been here for 4.5 games. So you have to understand that this is a business first. The business side says that's where the big investment is. We have to try to see it through to some point. The good news is you went out there and you rattled off in 8 games. You looked phenomenal. There was no doubt. There was no hesitation. You're the guy. We expect you to continue to get better. But the business is the business. You were the last pick guy in the draft. He was a top 3 guy picked in the draft. We have to make sure that they get some sort of return on investment. We got to put him back out there for a couple of games to see what he's doing. You get ready in the meantime. When we call your number, we expect you to be ready. Come back out here and kick ass.
Okay. Matt, are you able to give advice to the opposite player?
To Trey Lance as to why we're going with Brock Purdy over him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can do that. Listen, Trey, we got a lot invested in you. And, I know it's tough beat, tough business, but this is a business. And, the kid's back. He's ready to play. Brock's here. And we just have to see if what he did last year was sustainable. You're fighting an uphill battle, and you knew that coming in. And, we love you here. We picked you high for a reason. At this point in time, it's just we got to ride with the hot hand. I mean, the team was so successful with him, and if he doesn't get hurt, who knows where we're at right now. And there's every opportunity that he doesn't come back from this surgery, or he doesn't play well, and he ends up being Mr. Irrelevant again. And we've seen the work that you've been putting in. This is one of those traditional, situations where, hey, he played well. We got to see if he can come back and do the same thing. He shouldn't be losing his job due to an injury, this and this and that, when the performance is there. We just don't have enough on tape from you to definitively say that, you should be the guy instead. So we're going to roll with Brock right now, but we love what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep improving. Keep fighting every day, and make it apparent to us that you're the can't miss guy. And, you could very well be in that position. We've had a lot of bad luck here, but we feel comfortable with our chances because you are on the roster. You are a very important part of this team, and going forward, we want you to remain a very important part of this team. So, we might be rolling with one guy now, but that doesn't mean that you can't make a career for yourself here with the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know. Either way, it's going to be a shitty thing. It's like a tough conversation to have. That's for sure. Either way it goes.
I liked it, though. I think both made good points. Either way, like Matt said, someone's going to be pissed, someone's going to be devastated, and someone's going to be, on top of the moon, excited. But what's up, Mike? What was that? What was that reaction for?
I think a lot of what I said to Brock applies to Lance also, right?
It very much does, and I tried to steer away from that, but I couldn't end up doing it.
You can also spin it. Look, guys, this is the business. Now I'm talking to Lance about why we're going to Brock, right? The entire NFL just saw what this kid did. This is the business. If we pull him off right now, he's the hottest guy right now. The jersey sales are going through the roof. The fans want to see it. Listen, here's the bottom line. We picked you a year before him. We have your 5th-year option. All right. You look at all those playoff teams. This is all about dollars and cents and wins. Okay, we're going to win no matter what. We have confidence in both of you guys. But dollars and cents say this. You look at all the playoff teams, anybody who went to the NFC Championship game, anybody who was in the divisional conference, our quarterback room will still cost less than all of those rooms. Even if we pick up your fifth-year option, we have both of you guys for another 3 years. Don't worry. Your opportunity will come. But if we bench him right now, he was the hottest guy smoking in the NFL. If we bench him right now to put you back in here after you've only played 3 or 4 games, it's going to be riots outside. It's going to be pickets. You know, I got to answer to Jed York. I got to answer to Dr. York. They're over there saying, hey, what are you guys doing? This guy looked great. The 49ers scored more points than we have at any other time in my entire tenure here. We have to go with this guy right now. You stay ready, champ. We're going to get you back in here. Don't you worry. You stay ready. Now, if he falls a little bit, if it turns out that he is the guy that, you know, his draft status says he was, we're going to happily, you know, move on. But we'll put him back on the bench and we'll get you back in here. And you show everybody why we traded up to acquire your talent. This is why we picked you. You got to stay ready. But what do we look like if we bench this guy right now? What if we look like saying he's healthy? He just went out there, rattled off 8 wins, you know, most points per game in my entire tenure. And say, yeah, but we're going to go with this. Like we just can't do it. We can't do it for the look. The look is bad right now. We got to stick with them. Like you can spin this any way you want. You can spin it, and that's why I say I think they handled it perfect. No matter what they go in there and say to the other guy, they're going to be like, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I get it. You got to do what you got to do. I think they all take it that way, and I think they all stay motivated to stay ready as well. It's not one guy goes, I knew I was wasting my damn time here. As long as you don't say we're trading one of these guys, they're going to stay motivated because they're going to feel like that guy is not supposed to be in there right now. No matter which way you go, the other guy is going to say he's not supposed to be in there. I'm ready for them to call my number, and I'm going to get in there and kick ass. That's how they're going to feel.
Especially with a luck and injury.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the justification, you know, what Mike said, hey, it's a results-driven business, and this guy has put it on the film, put it on the field. Like, we got to roll with that. I can totally see that being kind of what's happening.
All right, guys. With that said, is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Mike, oh, wait, no, you asked us the question. That was the question. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap up here?
We're kind of in a lull, I think. Yeah. But I do want to do that thing we did last time. We got to pull one of them cards, brother.
Let's do it. I want to get a good one. These ones kind of suck.
Do you guys think that the Niners need to draft another running back?
No.
Is Elijah Mitchell done?
I don't think he's done. I think
he's been hurt, right? So he's not practicing.
Sure. Wait, is he hurt again?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, shit. I don't know. I think they can get a guy off the street.
I see. Okay. I thought Christian McCaffrey would have the opposite effect on the team. I thought people would say, look at what the running back does to your team, not a running back, right? So maybe we keep trying to get the running back here. I thought Christian McCaffrey helped what a good running back can do in your system. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. So I just thought it was interesting. And hearing that Elijah Mitchell.
But I guess, like, what do you – it's not like Christian McCaffrey's ancient and shit. He's under contract for, like, 3 more years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to replace right now? Running backs are plug and play. Your rookie running back should be, like, ready to go.
You're not plugging and playing with a guy like Christian. You're asking someone to do a lot.
But what I'm saying is, like, why do you need to look to draft the guy? You got the guy in the building. You just need a guy to give the guy a fucking water break every, like, 10 carries.
But then you have to prepare to replace him.
Why are we looking at replacing him right now? Who gives a shit? I really don't care. For 2023, I don't want to hear about replacing Christian McCaffrey because he's here.
Oh, no. Okay. I'm sorry. I did not mean
because you asked, should we draft another running back because Mitchell's hurt again?
Next draft.
Not McCaffrey. I mean, they're going to because you just have picks, right? It's not going to be a high round guy, but they've shown that they can bring in guys off the street in terms of undrafted free agents and make something out of them. Again, even after next season or into next season, not this one coming up, but the one after. Again, McCaffrey going to be 28, like still, not ancient in terms of being a running back, and especially with his preparation and stuff like that. And the fact that like I don't see Christian McCaffrey taking a ton of hard hits, but I don't know, man.
Would you guys think about taking one in the supplemental draft? The supplemental draft is returning this year. First time since 2019.
Interesting. It would depend on the cost. Like, what are you giving up to supplement? It's like is it like an equivalency thing or what? Like, is it like a Rule 5 baseball style or what?
I don't know exactly how it works. You know what I mean? I think I know it had something to do with third is a fourth or some shit. I don't remember exactly how it works, but
also Pterodome, thanks for bringing this up. We still have Jordan Mason on the roster.
Okay.
I'm okay with Jordan Mason.
All right. I digress. Let's get to the part. I'm sorry.
Let's get this chat pack. Through the use of a time machine, you are traveling back to the year 1850. You may take with you one and only one product or invention from the modern era. What would you take with you to impress and awe our forebears?
The Emancipation Proclamation.
What is that, like 19 years in the future? They're going to be alive to see that.
Yeah, but I want to let them know, hey, I'm black. I'm here. I'm free, though. Leave me the fuck alone.
just to walk around unbothered.
Don't fucking touch me. Leave me alone. I'm sorry, Matt. You give a real. I'll think of something and I'll come back with something for real.
Yeah. We're going back to 1850, huh?
Yes.
Let me think about that.
Oh, I can go. I have mine.
Yeah, you go, Zach.
This is very easy for me. My phone. If I could tell a single person in 1850, I carry every single thing ever known to man in my pocket at all times. I can the ability to access every single thing known to man in my pocket every day, every minute. It's always there. I can call somebody. I can video chat with, you know what I mean? Like I think that would just blow somebody's mind from 1850. I know Jose's saying no service, but the fact is that you could explain how it works and give demos. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to.
Bro, you better get to somebody quick because as soon as your fucking battery's going to run out, no electricity in 1850, son.
Charge this shit, right?
How you going to charge this shit?
The card doesn't say how long I'm going to be there. It's just I have to show something to blow their mind. To impress and awe. That's the standard.
And then they burn you at the stake for witchcraft.
I'll hop in the time machine.
I think cars existed then, and I think batteries existed then as well. Right?
Cars in 1850 not invented yet.
Yeah, no, that's not true.
True. No
I
cars
in Germany. 1871 when it was here in the United States, but I thought Germany had it before then. I could be
1886.
Wrong.
You're 36 years too early.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Carl Benz of Mercedes-Benz.
That's 86. 71 was the United States, though. 71 had it in the United States.
Right. Okay.
First automobile suitable for use on existing wagon roads in the United States was a steam-powered vehicle invented in 1871. But I thought there was one older than that in Germany that didn't make its way here. All right,
it wasn't.
We're getting sidetracked.
It was a steam-powered three-wheeler invented also by Carl Benz in 1866, but it was a three-wheeler and not the same thing. It was called the motor wagon.
That's not mind-blowing. Okay, I'm just trying to think of something that I could take back there and still use. Go ahead, Matt. I'll keep thinking.
I'm gonna say I got two. I got the altruistic one, and then I have the other one. So my altruistic one is going to be antibiotics, which were actually invented in the 1900s. I think you'd save a lot of people from things like dysentery, from all kinds of bacterial infections. You'd be able to prevent a lot of the infection that people would get just from a simple cut, simple scrape, something like that. I think that would be the altruistic one. In terms of, I'm running this shit, I'm bringing back the atomic bomb. Like, legit, come fuck with me.
You gotta test it.
I'm emperor of the world. I'm emperor of the world. I got the atomic bomb. Let's go.
Yeah, but if you don't do a sample, no one's gonna believe what you say is.
Dude, there were so few people in 1850, I could blow up a bunch of stuff and nobody would get hurt. It's not like today, guys.
All right, I got one. Indoor plumbing, running water.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I think
fucking
I would
squatty potty, bro. Squatty potty.
No, I don't know what like the.
You don't know what the
microwave,
like a commode.
No, dude, the squatty potty is a little footstool for yourself, so you can bring your knees up to perfect shitting position.
Oh yeah, no, but people don't have that now. Like people are like, yeah, I take my step stool in my bathroom.
The bidet, which goes along with your indoor plumbing.
But hear me out. I would not only take the indoor plumbing back, but I would patent it so it's only mine or my family members. Because who is getting paid for indoor plumbing being in every single civilized home in the world? No one's getting paid for just indoor plumbing. No one is. And that's a crime. Someone should be a zillionaire based off of the invention of indoor plumbing. So that's what I would take with me.
All right, let me modify my nuclear weapons one. How about nuclear power?
Oh, I like that.
Atomic energy.
Now we're talking, because now you're talking about size, and you could really do samples and shit. Now you're doing some shit.
Samples and shit. I can take it. I can pass them out.
The indoor plumbing thing, I can show them like, hey, you do this. The pressure. Do you know? Oh, I'm gonna have a really, really bad confession. It's okay. I was young. I was 13 years old. Right. All right. So check this out. The real story.
Drink toilet water.
13 years old. Huh?
Did you drink toilet water?
No. But it does have
you
to
do
do
an upper decker.
I was 13 years. I don't even know what that means.
You don't know what an upper decker is?
I thought it was a home run to the top.
Let me explain this to you. Let me explain this to you. Just do this to your enemies, okay? You go into their bathroom, you take the top off the toilet tank, and you shit in the top of the toilet tank. So every time they flush, poop water comes in. That's an upper decker. I can neither confirm nor deny I've actually partaken in an upper decker.
Oh my god, I've never heard of this before. I'm never gonna forget. I might do this as a like an April Fool's prank to one of my siblings. Forget an enemy. Like I'm gonna be on some petty shit. But true story. I was about 12 or 13 years old. I was probably a little bit younger, honestly. But I was at my grandmother's house and the power went out. We had a really, really bad storm. My grandmother has well water. However, we had indoor plumbing. So don't try to talk shit about my grandmother. If you don't understand well water, then that's on you, right? We weren't tapped into the public line. We had well water. So the power went out and I was deathly afraid to flush the toilet because now the tank was full. The upper deck that Matt was talking about was full, but I thought it required electricity to get the water to refill it. I had no idea that flushing a toilet is just pressure based. I had no idea. It was just, I thought you needed power to flush the damn toilet because my grandmother's house also had a sump pump. So when the power went out, the pump didn't work. I thought it was all tied together. It wasn't until I was a little bit older that I realized you don't need electricity to flush the toilet. I don't know. My mind was blown. So that's something I would be able to prove in 1850 how valuable this will be. It's all about.
And then when you were 14, you realize, oh shit, we do need electricity for me to take a hot shower.
Yes, now that's different. Hot showers are very, very different. Right. I can give you some water. What you got is what you got. You know what I'm saying? But,
All right. Good answers, guys. Good answers. I like Mike, I just got to say, I love how preemptively aggressive you were about defending your grandmother.
No, because people like to talk shit. You know, I'm not gonna let people talk about my grandmother like that. You know, like, nah, don't do
You
that.
just had to pause the story real quick and just get that out.
We had well water, man.
All right.
What do you want me to do?
All
There was some
right.
rough times over there. We had kerosene heaters in my grandmother's house and shit. That shit was not safe. Oh man, tough times. Tough times.
Bro, I grew up in the 80s. The whole 80s was just not fucking safe for anybody.
So stupid. We did such dumb shit. Like,
Man, I tell you.
I don't like propane grills because of my experiences with kerosene heaters. Like, it's just one small thing and the flames just jumped. Like, no.
Yeah,
I
real.
no. Nope.
Not hey, we had that too. When I was growing up, because it's old housing, you know what I mean? And we didn't grow up exceptionally wealthy or nothing like that. Man, I remember a time where we had on the floor, it was a heater for the house, but it was like a metal grate into the floor, and you could see the flames through the grate that heated the house. That was the gas. And fuck, man, if you drop a toy down there, you're not getting it back.
Yeah, no, it's gone. It's the Toy Story 3 scene where they're going towards the generator.
And I also lived on we had a water tower next to our house too, like a water pump house. So yeah, I know about the well water and shit too. So
yeah, man.
Yep. Wild. The 80s were wild, where you could have cap guns that look like real guns, where like
they didn't have the orange caps on the tips of them.
Yep. Yeah, the 80s were wild, where they would give you like toys that you just gonna fuck yourself up with
lead paint and shit.
Real rifles, small rifles.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Do you remember they actually had I saw this. I never had this, but it was a science kit with real nuclear. It had a small amount of nuclear, like it's like one of the highest banned toys in the world. And they still sell like 3 of them on eBay. Last I looked, there were 3 available on eBay. It was a science kit with a little tiny ass piece of something nuclear like inside of it. And they were like, why were we selling this to kids? Like they snatched that shit off the shelves. It's like the top banned toy in the world.
Oh yeah, Atomic Energy Lab.
That's it.
It was a radioactive energy lab where they put a little bit of uranium in it. What?
Yes. Yep. That shit was a fucking toy.
It was.
What the hell?
That was the 50s though. Hey, they were wild in the 50s. They didn't even know. Yeah. So funny enough, they invented the atomic bomb and didn't even understand what like radioactive fallout was. They had no idea. Yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, everything in the 80s was wild though. I just remember remember the little cigarette gum where you pull it out the package and it had the little powder in it. You blew it out like you were smoking a cigarette. Yeah. We had all that stuff, man.
Yeah, Joe Camel was the coolest guy on my team.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my god.
You would get home from school and your parents would be like, "Get the fuck outside! I don't want to see you till it's dark."
Yep.
No cell phones. Had no idea where you were.
My punk ass won't let my kids in the backyard if I can't see them. Like,
right. Probably for the better. I'm surprised that most of us made it here, but
wow,
wild,
crazy times. All right, guys. That's going to do it. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. All of our handles are on the screen. Follow us. Follow RGS Pod on Twitter. We're almost to 1,000 followers there. Follow 49ers Hive. And Matt, you want to carry us out?
Absolutely. Mike, thank you for joining us. Appreciate having you here. Follow Mike, Nothing But Niners, all that good stuff. I'm going to get on your Patreon. I swear to God, I'm going to get on your Patreon.
All right, I haven't recorded one. You haven't missed anything yet. Didn't record one since.
Cool. We'll work out the details. But I want to thank everybody here as always. We got a little sidetracked at certain points, but I feel like sometimes it makes it all the better. So thank you for joining us here tonight. We love having you here. And until next time,